Guys, just to let you guys know, if anytime you want to go back and listen to our old calls, I've put this on the YouTube channel. I'll put it in the group so you can always go back and listen to calls. All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. The idea of getting on to a call and discuss the post race to kind of dissect it, bisect it, or whatever you may call it, to understand what went for us well, what did not work, what are the areas we want to work on. Uh, the objective is to be very candid. I want you guys to point out your own areas because the first step to get better or improve is to understand, to check on areas and mistakes which we've made. Then only we can get better. So anything, any feedback, anything is purely related to your performance, is nothing related to an individual. You might make a mistake today, somebody else will learn from the mistake, and same way if somebody else makes a mistake, you can gain out of it. So if any feedback given to anybody here, please take this as a learning experience for all of us. That's how we as athletes also kind of so getting into the call, just wanted to understand, uh, breaking down the day in the morning, Sunday, when I was looking at people who did their race for the first time, but we have a lot of people who did the race earlier as well. So how did it work in terms of the race morning? Want to break down and understand how it worked when you reach the location and you set up your area, the pool experience, looking at your transitions, your run, and your biking. So I want to break it down so everybody can share their experiences. So Ayush, I would like to start this with you because this was more of your first race. So when I say a triathlon, this was more of a first one. So how did the whole experience in terms of breaking it down from morning? What did you do which worked for you? Areas which you think did not go well for you? How would you put it across? Take us through.
So, coach, I was like after Kachyatal, the points that we made over there. Am I audible? Sorry.
Little disturbance, sir. Not very clear, yeah.
Hello. Now am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So after Naukachetal, what are the points we discussed? I was practicing that, like I had written down what to do.
Ayush, I think you're in the car. It's a poor network here. I can't hear you.
In the morning and what all to do in transition. I was practicing that, like
Ayush,
meditating that and going.
Ayush, I'm sorry. Ayush, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you here. I can't hear you at all. You're, I think, in the car and it's a very poor network. We can't make out what you're saying. So maybe you want to come in some better network zones and then we can talk. In the meantime, I'll take this to somebody else. Piyush, your first race. Let's talk about your experience in terms of the morning, the race morning. How did it go when you were there at the transitions in the morning? What did you do with your bike? What went well for you, which you kind of gained out of it? Anything which you felt did not go well as per your experience?
Yeah. So this was technically my third triathlon. I did the super category, which was 240-10 last year. And I did a Olympic in February in Delhi. So obviously, I did, I was injured a couple of weeks. So then that's why I was doing a sprint. It was pretty easy peasy. I started with nutrition, a banana and a bar to begin with before 1 hour before the race. And just before the swim, I gulped a gel as well, so that I had enough energy. Swim, by most people's standards, probably won't be, in the top 50, top 60 percentile. But for me, it was my best performance at the swim. That's also my weakest suit. So I could do it in 24 minutes, 750 meters. And I think one area where I need to improve upon is the transition. I took 7.5 minutes in swim to bike transition.
Can you take us through what you exactly did in that transition that took you 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, so I came out and I was I think one thing which I probably didn't do was I didn't tape my food on that, and I had all my things packed up in the bag. It was not hanging on the bike, so I had to take everything out from the bag and then put it back and then go. So that probably took me extra. I was checking the transition times for everyone. It was anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes for everyone, even 4:30 for some quicker ones. So that's probably the additional 2 minutes, which to take out things from the bag and to put it back in the bag. So that is something which took some extra time. Since
Okay.
it was a longer race, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm not spilling the things over.
Okay.
Bike was a really good one. It was my PR. I caught on to a friend who was traveling from Noida. I just tailed him, so got a good speed. This T2 was good around I think it was 2 minutes something. T2. I gulped a gel in T2 basically.
Okay. Okay.
And when I went on the bike, I took a bar. So throughout the bike, it took me 42 minutes for the ride. I took a bar. When I came to T2, I immediately changed my shoes, gulped the gel, and just pushed off. So, and took 32 minutes for the run. So it was from the race point of view, it was pretty effortless. Like the last Olympic triathlon, I was not gasping. I was not lying on the floor. I was feeling very strong. Probably it was a category lower than
So
Feb.
any 3 points you want to pinpoint, highlight that worked for you? Of course, you said your nutrition worked for you.
Yeah, the nutrition worked well. I think that the build-up really worked well. There were 2 weeks off a month ago, but generally the build-up I think really worked well. The exercise built up to the race. The training built up to the race. That worked really well.
So the pacing, you're saying that you did not gasp, so you were pacing yourself well. So that kind of worked for you. Any other third point you think that kind of really worked in your favor with the whole race?
Uh, I know you won't it won't really maybe cut the ice, but I felt that swimming worked well for me because for me it was my PB. I didn't expect to finish 7:50 in 24. I was taking 28 minutes, 27 minutes in the pool for 700s. So
Awesome.
this was,
So it worked for you, right? So it worked for you. It worked for you. So let's be honest about it. How many times did you bang with people swimming in your lane?
So I was generally, whenever there was someone in my front, there was a kick which used to come on my hand, and I used to be cautious.
Yeah.
But there was this one time where a lady was doing probably a breaststroke or maybe a butterfly. I got a kick on my goggles,
Okay.
but it was non-injurious, nothing.
Okay.
I just sort of
Did it put you off the whole comfort zone?
No, it didn't, because I had mentally prepared myself that there will be one or two
Good.
such kicks. So it came, I just adjusted and I
Good.
started.
I think if that's how you were mentally prepared, I think it's fantastic. Just to let everybody know, if he went with a mindset and if he got one or two kicks or taps on the hand, I think it's fairly less than what you're going to be feeling it in the main race. In the main race, there'll be many more athletes. There'll be no lanes. There will be faster and slower swimmers. There will be turns in the boys. There'll be choppy waters. So if you felt that people were hitting you front and back and you were getting head-on collisions, I think that was a total race on experience, and you will get much more than that in the race. So mentally be ready in it, be in the mindset that you will be getting touched on your feet, or you will be swimming and you will be tapping on somebody's feet. There will be plenty of breaststrokers who will be doing a different stroke, and they will be sometimes opening their legs and they'll be kicking you. So if you're mentally prepared and if you are in that zone, great. I think that's something which you need to work on. Great. So three
I
things
just wanted to pick up
Yeah.
one point which he said. If I'm correct, you said you were drafting.
In cycling,
Yes.
yes, I was.
Yeah. So in a race like this, there is no one to check. In an Ironman race, they will penalize you by adding 5 or 10 minutes to your time, and in some cases they will disqualify you. I think they disqualify you, if I'm not wrong, or at all.
It's a disqualification. It's a
disqualification.
I'll come to that.
Yeah.
I was just picking that up. So I was first completing swimming. So
Okay.
coming back to the swim bit, I think if you get this experience, I think it was great because that's the real race experience you're going to be feeling. All right. Now, that's something which I think everybody would have felt in. There were slower and faster swimmers in the lane. I think the pairing or the lane division was not up to the mark purely because maybe not because of the organizers, but it could be that, people who were slow swimmers, they would have put in different timings. So they would have just purely taken as per the timings filled by the athlete. So I don't think anything the organizers can do as well in that. So they would have
One
just
more,
simply.
okay, we go to the things which didn't work later, right?
Yeah, I'm going to pick that up as well. So I think that's a great thing which you picked up, the 3 pointers. So coming to the 3 things did not work for you, Piyush. Any 3 pointers? I know you've explained it, but to briefly highlight it for everybody's this thing. One is of course your transition planning.
My transition planning, I think T1 specifically, I think could have been better.
Yeah.
One more thing, I think I need to check my goggles as well because there was initially some water and it was pool water, it's okay. But if it's saline water of the sea and I'm continuing and I did a sea camp in April, May, there was some redness because of that. So I need to probably check on that goggles as well.
Yeah.
I think that's second thing which didn't work well. Apart from that, I can't really say anything which didn't work out well.
Fair enough. So picking up from your points, and I think this should go on everybody's to do. We've discussed this in the pre-race briefing also in the call we did. When you guys are in your transition in the morning, your target and objective should be a simple word called minimalistic. When I say minimalistic, means that when you come out of the water and when you are picking up your bike and going out to the mount line, there should be minimum doable which you have to do. Okay. My take would be purely you wear your socks, you wear your cleats, you wear your helmet, and you wear your sunglasses. These are the 4 things you should primarily be doing. You will not be allowed to keep a bag underneath. You will not be allowed to keep a bag in your transition. You will only be allowed in Goa a towel with all your stuff on it. So you cannot keep a full, stuff, whatever you want on top of it. Everything has to go on your bike. Whether it's your hydration, whether it's your nutrition, whether it's your salt tablets, whether it's anything you need during the race, has to go onto your bike. So when I come into the transition, my bike is set. So a good idea for everybody in this would be that in the morning, when you guys are coming to the transition, carry a torchlight, a headlamp or a small lamp, because generally the transition area, it's dark. There are lights, there are fog lights and they've put in, but generally when you look down and you try to look at some nitty-gritty, it's dark. So please write a to-do that you should have a headlamp or a torch. You set up your bike. Nothing to be extended to be done. So I'm going to quickly wipe my feet on the towel. I'm going to wear my socks, my cleats. I'm going to wear my helmet. If I'm going to wear my sunglasses, pick up my bike and go. We need to find out solutions how you can fit in things on your bike. That's one, right? Same thing when you come back from your cycling to your T2 to the run. Again, the idea is to have things which you would be needing. I mean, we talked about this also. A good idea would be to have your racing bib, your cap. If you need to carry a water bottle, everything kept in a small little zip pouch bag. So that on your running shoes, you can just keep that zip pouch bag. What you do is you come back, you remove your cleats, you wear your running shoes. If you want to change your socks, we discussed this last time. You have a fresh pair of socks. You change your socks, wear your running shoes, pick up that pouch. While you have that pouch in your hand, you're going to walk outside. So you're not going to start running immediately. So what you do is while you're walking, you take the things out of your pouch. You have your bib belt, you have your cap. If you have your water bottle, one water bottle is sufficient. You pick that up, you roll that pouch. Either you keep it in your pocket or you trash it in the dustbin, which is the closest to you while you walk out. You don't have to keep multiple bottles. I remember one of the athletes, I don't remember who right now, but he had 2 small little bottles. He picked up the bottle, he had the pouch, he had the cap, he started walking, and then a bottle dropped. Then he picked it up, then he picked up another bottle. He kept on losing time. He had a tri-shorts he was wearing. He kept the bottles in his side pockets. which were flapping. So when he started running, they were flapping, which of course was an uncomfortable area to be in. So find out things which do not create hindrance, do not create a trouble, and you're ready to go. Minimalistic things. I heard a comment athlete saying they forgot their salt tablets. Salt tablets are very small. You will tend to forget if you keep it there. Make a space in your cycle, because once you're out of the transition, whatever you've left, you left. You cannot go back. So we cannot spoil the race in the heat, in the weather conditions we will have by forgetting a salt tablet, and then we are gone. So all these small little things, make sure you have all the pointers and you keep them ready. Yeah. Other point you made was, that you had a friend and you were cycling with him. You cannot be drafting in the race. Okay. There will be marshals in the biking section on the bike. They'll verbally kind of correct you a couple of times to move away. If they see you doing it a couple of times more, they're going to show you a card where you would need to stand in the penalty zone for 5 minutes. If they find you doing it again, you're out of the race. Yeah. So you need to make sure that you're not drafting. Now, what would drafting means? I would be at least 12 meters behind. All right. At least 3 to 6 cycles behind. Yeah. Of course, there will be times when you're on a climb and you're together. You can't draft on the climbs, of course. But when you're on the flats, when you're on the downhill, you have to keep the distance. Now, what the drafting rule says is that if this is me, this is you, you're coming behind. It's your job to overtake me. Once you overtaking me, now it's my job to stay behind you. Okay? So if you are overtaking me and if I try to race you, and if I'm trying to race you, then I'm getting the penalty, not you. So the guy behind always gets the penalty, not the guy in front. All right? So make sure you keep that in mind. Otherwise, all the hard work done is gone. Now, make sure you replan your transition, because we've been training for months, trying to cut down our swim timings by 5 minutes to 7 minutes. We're trying to cut down our ride time. But a transition which should take you 3 minutes, and if you've taken 7 minutes, those 4 minutes are totally waste of 6 months of your training in swimming. Yeah. So it's simple that we need to pay attention to all these little details. They make a lot of difference. Goa will be slightly different. Goa will be slightly longer, because your swim to your transition will be a nice jog. That jog could be anywhere from 400 meters to 800 meters, depending on the start of the morning, purely because they generally keep the start of the swim very close to the transition. But as the morning goes, depending on the times, they might push you away also. But that distance will remain the same for everybody. So if it's 800 meters for you, it's 800 meters for each and every athlete participating. So keep that in mind. But what I'm trying to say is that your transition should be set and ready. Right? Awesome. Anybody else would like to add in what worked for them? I would let you guys. Kanish, why don't you share what worked for you, man? That was your first race.
Hi, coach.
Okay.
Yeah, so few things worked.
Yeah.
For me, in the swim, I've always had this problem of not being able to swim nonstop, because my heart rate kind of shoots up after the first 100, 200 meters, and I have this tendency to just stop and just catch my breath and then start swimming again. And most of the sets that we've done in the pool usually are 200 meters or lesser. And it's only during the time trials that you're really tested. So I was a little worried about that I'll have to stop. So what I did, I kind of psyched myself that I can't stop. I have to keep going no matter what. So when my heart rate kind of spiked after 200 meters, I went to my default breaststroke. I did a lap of breaststroke, but that didn't help at all. My heart rate was still pretty high. So then I decided just, to hell with it, just keep going, keep doing your freestyle. And after, I think 500-700 meters, that feeling plateaued, and I just continued. So that worked well. That was a first.
So mental conditioning, huh? Mental conditioning of pushing.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
The second thing was, this was the first time where I kind of went onto the bike right after the swim. So this was a first experience, and I didn't expect my legs to not function. So basically, from Gymkhana to Golf Course Road, I was at probably, I don't know, half of my power, which I usually put.
Yeah.
And that was surprising to me. My heart rate was high. So I thought that, okay, let's get our heart rate down. And when I reached golf course, I started pushing and I got my power back. So
Awesome.
that was a new feeling for me. That was something that I learned, that to get your heart rate down after the swim. My hydration and nutrition worked well. Most of it that I'd planned was on point. I was the one who forgot my salt tabs. So basically, what I had in my head that I'm going to, for my T1, I had a towel, and on that towel I had everything that I needed. So I kept it under the bike, and same for T2. But unfortunately, what happened once I came out of the pool, half of my things were, they were misplaced and they were here and there. I don't know,
Yeah.
someone had maybe, touched my stuff. So my bike computer and my salt tabs weren't there. So whatever was there, I just took it and I ran.
Yeah.
Later, I realized that, oh, I don't have my bike computer and I don't have my salt tabs. So that affected my run.
Mhm.
So in T2, I found my salt tabs. I took the salt tabs. I took two of them. But
Mhm.
I think by that time it was a little late and my quads started cramping.
Yeah.
Lastly, for me, what didn't work was I didn't know how much to push. Like before I went for the run, you asked me to be aggressive with the run.
Yeah.
But I tried to be aggressive and then my quads cramped. So I had to run and walk a bit.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know how much to push. So I was going at 5.5 pace, and then my quads were cramping. Then I was walking. Then so this happened a couple of times. Then I just thought, okay, just let's run in zone 2 for a while. And then my quads became better. Maybe the salt was kicking in. And thereafter, I was just, very comfortably running in that pace. So I just kept running. And I think in the last kilometer, I think it was Durgesh who kind of just flew by me and he asked me to, be aggressive. So I just ran behind him. So
Mhm.
that was good. So I could do that in the last kilometer. But
Awesome.
I feel I left a lot in the tank in my run.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I think good. I think the mental win which you've got is fantastic. So I think picking up from there, and I think this is a very, very common pointer which a lot of us miss out is, in the morning when we've done our bike setup and when we go to this, the start of the swim line, a lot of times, because there are a lot of people around, people are in high adrenaline, what we generally miss out is a good warm up. Now, warm up would mean, of course, opening up your shoulders and also getting your heart rate high. It depends on race to race. Goa, very close to the start line, they will not let you enter the water. But a lot of times, what people do is because the transition and the start is a little far away, they sneak into the water and they do a couple of laps and they come out. But again, it totally depends on how tough the race organizers are. Now, so as an athlete, what you need to look at is that A, you get a good warm up by opening up your joints, your shoulders, and getting your heart rate slightly high. The magic number which you have to keep in mind is the first 200 meters. Okay, that is where a lot of us make the mistake of we jump in because we see all the people ahead of us, they sprint in the water, they do their high knees, they jump in, then they come out, they jump in, they do the dolphin jumps and the dolphin dives, which we've not practiced. So we try to be fancy. We don't have to do all that. We need to control that first 200 meters. Now, what that first 200 meters would mean is that if I can see 100 meters or 200 meters, there is a visual buoy or a turn, or I would say the fourth red buoy. I would give myself to find my rhythm to that fourth point or the fourth buoy. I want to go in, find my rhythm. How do I find my rhythm? Everybody has their own tricks. Tricks would mean I start counting my strokes. I focus on my breathing. I'm going to go a little easy. Like you said, you went breaststroke. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to find a little bit of my rhythm. Once that 200 meters of body warmed up, heart rate gone up, and when you get into that comfort mentally, physically, and when you're breathing, then you are a bullet. then you need to get into your comfort zone of what you've been training with. So that first 200 meters is something which all of us have to keep that in mind. A lot of DNFs happen in that first 200 meters. Remember that. Not because I can't swim or I'm not trained enough. It is just that I am trying to battle it mentally. I'm trying to go too fast and I'm trying to battle myself. So keep pushing yourself. There will be a lot of fight and a flight situation over there, whether I should fight it and go ahead or I would give up. That's a mental conditioning. I want each and everybody to keep that in mind. It happens. It happens with everybody, whether I've done my first or my sixth race. It's always happened. But once I cross that little mark, then it's like a rhythm, muscle memory comes in place and we start moving in. So keep that in mind. And that goes for everybody. We all go through that. If you are going for that open water lake swims in the coming few weeks, try getting into the water, just seeing how to comfort yourself in the first 200 meters and then get settled in. Yeah. Second thing, especially in Goa, a lot of races, you get those bags in the European races. Goa, I am not sure if they will introduce the bags this year, but every year they ask us to put towels. There will be people who are parking the bikes next to you. Generally, there are about 4 or 5 bikes on the rack. Trust me, not everybody is courteous and respectful to the athlete next to you. So you will find that maybe the guy who was next to you came in early, did his transition, did not bother, maybe kicked off or maybe by mistake or whatever happened. Your things might not be in place. So make sure you find your space nicely. What I generally would do is I would take a big towel, put everything on the towel, half of the towel, take the remaining towel, cover it up. Yeah. So if nobody can kick it, nothing can get lost from there. Yeah. And again, small little nitty-gritty salt tablets should not be on your transition, should be on the pocket, in the pocket, so that you don't miss it. Small things, because and small things can not mess up your cycling, but maybe your runs. Yeah. Super. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Joy, what about you? How was your experience? You're an experienced cyclist, so it should be good to understand how did your pacing go from the swim to the cycle and run.
So, so I did the sprint distance, just making it clear before anyone asks the Olympic sprint. Okay, so what worked for me, number one, which I think I'm most grateful for, is that there was no cramps whatsoever, not in the pool, not on the ride, not even on the run. And even though I was pushing myself, and that's probably because I was well hydrated and well fed. So 2 hours before the actual, what was stated as the start time for my swim, which was 5:40 a.m. Although it started 20 minutes later, at around 3:30, I did have a nice bowl of overnight oats with like protein and milk and fruit and stuff. So that kept me full, and I think that is what gave me energy, kept me full and satisfied through the race. Apart from that, I had just about 2 gels during the race, which I didn't feel the need for more, because I think the oats sort of just kept me going throughout. Obviously before the swim, like you had suggested, Krish and I, we did have a gel each, and I think that helped. And on the bike and on the run, I was one gel more. Water intake throughout the ride was good. So obviously it was all concentrated. Because I sweat a lot, I did put in an extra tablet of the Fasten Up electrolytes. So instead of my usual 2, I had put 3 in both the bottles, and even the bottle which I kept over there for my run, that also had 3 tablets in it. So it was very concentrated, because I knew if I wanted plain water, it would always be available on the course. I did pick up a bottle, and someone just refilled my water bottle with that. So that worked, and I think that's what saved me from cramps and kept me going. The cycling, obviously, for me also, this was the first time I've gone from swimming to cycling. So we've done cycling to running multiple times, but from the swim to the bike, it felt good. I didn't feel odd. I was thinking that the wet dry suit might sort of feel a bit heavy and this thing, but I think it had dried up within a few minutes or so while we were on the bike. What's different was that, yes, there were immense headwinds as soon as we started the bike leg, all the way till we touched Golf Course Road. And I think once we were on familiar territory, it just sort of felt even better because I knew the route, I knew the course very well, and the road conditions were good. So that was good. The only point of improvement which I felt personally was after the bike, when we moved towards the run, the transition was fine. I checked my timings. It was about 2.5, 3 minutes, which was fine. But again, when you said go aggressive, as soon as we were crossing the mat, I got out of the gate and Dada crossed me from behind and he was running and he's like, chalo, chalo, chalo. And I look at my watch and my heart rate is showing 201. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm walking right now. So I think it's just the adrenaline of the first race. I think it's pushing a bit harder on the bike and then quickly jumping onto the run. That sort of elevated the heart rate to that extent. So it did come down after about a few hundred meters. I walked a little and then I started gradually with a slow jog. And then wherever there was a water station, I would just stop for like 30 seconds and just refill and stuff. So that helped me control the heart rate. But I think that's the only sort of point of improvement for me that I need to work on is, which I think we've discussed earlier also when we met, to be running in zone 2, zone 3 instead of 4, 5, and in this case 6. So so that's the only sort of point of improvement which I feel I need to work on. But apart from that, I think it's been a great experience for
So
even the distance that we did. It was.
I think the first thing you started screaming after finishing was the first race you'd finish without cramping.
Yeah, exactly. First race without cramping, and I think, I mean, I have cramped once or twice in the longer 100 century and 150 kilometer rides, because that's where I'm actually pushing myself at 36, 37, drafting behind Sanjeev sir and those people.
Yeah.
But this was something different. I mean, I assumed that, given how hot it would be, we'd be pushing hard on the bike.
Yes.
It was still okay. I mean, with the fact that the hydration was on point, at any point I didn't feel that I was thirsty or I was, short of energy. I was, sort of bonking out or whatever.
So picking up from what you've said, and I think what Kanishk also said, once you finish your swim and you get on to the saddle, the tendency would be you've been horizontal for a while. And when you get vertical, your heart rate will shoot up. So from your water to the transition, you don't have to sprint. You have to keep an easy jog. Once you get onto the cycle, Kanishk, you also picked this point up that the first 5-10 minutes, you tried to push, but you were just not were able to. It's absolutely okay. The first couple of minutes, get in onto the saddle, get your rhythm, see if you can hydrate and you can eat something for the first couple of minutes. Once you settle in physically, mentally, when you know that you've eaten, you've got your heart rate in control, then you have plenty of time to cover up. But if you lose that 5 to 10 minutes by trying to push too hard, then the remaining ride will take a toll. So it'll be very essential for you to pace yourself well over there. Same way, when you get off the saddle, because of the high cadence you've been doing for the last 3.5 hours or 90 kilometers, your legs are churning, your legs are rotating. You would not realize that when you get off the saddle and when you start running, if your race pace was 6:30, you would not even realize how comfortably you can push a 6 to a 5:40. Now, that is not the pace you're training on. So you'll suddenly realize and say, oh, wow, I feel great. 5:40, man, this is my race. Amazing. But that's going to fizzle out in like 5 to 7 minutes because your heart rate will shoot up and you cannot sustain it. So you have to pull yourself. Remember, you got to race, you got to pace on what you were training on. If my training was 6:30, I can't think of pacing a 5:30 on the race morning. Yeah, I'm going to bundle up very soon. So yes, there will be people who will be next to you, who will overtake you and say, cheer up, come on, let's go, let's go. Thank you very much. Please go. I'm running in my zone. I'm running in my pace. Yeah. So you got to race as per your strength. You don't have to race as per somebody else who you try to push, because maybe his power on the saddle was 200 and yours was 160. You can match him for a couple of minutes, but not for the race. So don't do that. All right? That's important. Don't listen to Dada, yeah? Okay, I would like to take somebody who's been racing for a while. So, yeah. Okay, Jagat, let's talk about you. What did it work for you? What needed some improvements? Jagat, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, Coach, I think a few things I've been listening to all the comments as well and some good insights from all. But I think most important thing which you sometimes have also mentioned, let's not go into a lot of data points in terms of, like people are saying heart rate or because yes, it will when we are in, that adrenaline rush. It used to happen with me that it used to go very, very high. And I think a most important thing is that worked for me for the entire race was to tell myself that I am calm and I will stay focused. I think that is the most important thing that worked for me in the entire race. Keeping my head in the game and making sure what I thought before race, what I have to do, I will stick to that. Does not matter whether I am able to swim with the speed I wanted. Does not matter whether I will get headwind or I will not be able to go aero, which I could not for the entire race. But I stayed true to what I really wanted to execute in my race and then how I want to do my run, right? So that's one thing, that worked really well for me. And um, one thing that you talked about, in swimming, we are horizontal and when we come out, we stand up straight and that basically sometimes increases the heart rate more as well. So there is one thing I was actually studying somewhere that when we come out of water, whether it is pool or it is open water, let's not stand up straight and start running. Rather, keep torso a little bent towards towards forward and run slow. Like you said, now don't rush towards transition. Run slow, but keep your torso bent forward. That I tried this time, and I felt more comfortable with that because I was not totally horizontal, and I was not totally vertical as well. So that feeling of zoning out, which you remember, I used to tell you that jab Vietnam hum gaye the, that used to happen. That did not happen with me this time. I was trying to stay a little bit, in that bent position and go slowly towards T1. That really helped me. So that's another thing. And I think most important thing is before race, I made sure I'm doing my hydration and my nutrition before race. On nutrition, on the bike, on the run nutrition, for sure that mattered. But I think before race, hydration and nutrition, that actually helped me. Sorry,
Jagat, sorry, I'm interrupting you there. Thanks for pointing this out. Just to add on to Jagat's point, guys, this is something which I want you to start looking at in your training zones also. So let's say if this Sunday, for example, if I have a 100K ride, now what I do, not on Sunday, but starting on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in terms of my rest, in terms of my hydration, in terms of my nutrition, in terms of my lifestyle, is going to prove how my Sunday ride goes. Okay, for example, if I have a Sunday morning ride, and if I'm partying on Thursday night, and if I'm drinking late on Friday night, your Sunday morning ride is compromised. I'm not asking you to stop your social life. That was not the objective. But what I'm trying to say is be a little more mindful if you are looking at getting into a race prep. And I'll be very open and candid about it here in this forum is, and again, not personalizing it to anybody. Somebody raced from the club on Sunday morning and he was partying on Friday night. And he told me, yeah, my race is all fucked up. I said, what happened? What did you do? He said, Friday ko coach mat pucho yaar. Kya hua? I was partying late. Then the discussion and the went on. It showed up on his race. It showed up on his race in his heart rate. it showed up in his race and his efforts, and he was totally boggled and he was cramping, right? So what you do on the race morning is very, very important, right? Everybody's picking up what they did early in the morning. That is fantastic. I think that's what we need to look at. What we need to go back in time is a couple of days before is what on a prep. Focus on your Thursdays and your Fridays, sleep, live your life as normal. Yes, you are allowed to, of course, party. I'm not here to stop you from partying, but maybe you want to restrict your alcohol consumption. Maybe you want to restrict your food consumption, what you're eating, the food type you're eating. It will, simple rule, what you put in the body is how your body is going to perform, right? If you pull crap, the performance will be compromised. If you put good fuel, you will feel the output coming on a good race day. Yeah. So please remember that. And I want to compliment each one of you in this forum today. And I was looking at the pictures. I think everybody who finished had a bottle in their hand. And what I meant with the bottle in their hand was that they were prepared to keep their hydration levels up. And I think that is fantastic. And I think that is what you feel free to do it on the race. Everybody finished with a bottle means that you were drinking. Nobody finished off empty-handed means I was totally on the top of my game and I was drinking. That was fantastic. I think keep that in your race plan. I think that will work. All right. Sorry, Jagat, you can continue your pointer. Sorry.
So I think that sums up, Coach, my experience. Stretching is another thing. I wanted to say that before race, the focus that I had, in stretching and making sure that muscle activation, especially before swim. So I made sure that I am doing some swim related stretches so that, those initial 200-300 meters, that was more comfortable for me rather than that feeling कि मैं अभी swim करना start कर रहा हूँ and body's feeling, stuck somewhere. That did not happen. And I think that actually helped me in maintain my pacing all throughout my distance in swim.
Awesome. Perfect.
So yeah,
Thank you.
I'll stop here for the rest of the people.
Thank you for sharing. Krish, how did it go for you? I think you got lost and you wasted 3 minutes, which
I
is
think
the
my
difference
race was
between
a
you and
blunder.
Jagat.
Very big blunder. I wasted 6.5 minutes. I went 3 kilometers. Of course, that was also on the Belair. So I did a climb after long, so it's okay. But I think my cycling was good. I had to keep my effort moderate according to you to do a strong run. Though I wasted 6-7 minutes, I could have saved those 6-7 minutes and it would have been a better timing, but it's okay. Run was good because bricks have been constant in my training, and I think that was the most important part. Swim was good. Swim is my weakest. So I think I made up for it during my run.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's a point, I think, where I want all of you guys to keep in mind is generally it will not happen in an Ironman race. There will be enough volunteers on the turn while going, while coming back. But guys, remember, in the end of the race, your race. You can finish the race and scream as much as for the volunteers, but everything has been given in the roadmaps. Everything is given in the briefing, in the athlete briefing. Please make sure in your Ironman 70.3 Goa, you read the briefing in terms of the athlete brief. It will come in a PDF file to you well in advance. Read it well. At end of the day, you cannot say, "Arey, mere ko to pata nahi tha." Yeah. A lot of you did not attend the athlete brief for whatever reasons. I'm sure it was a working day. Make sure that if you do not attend the athlete brief, you know all the pointers. My suggestion, be there. It is not just about attending the athlete brief to know. It is also the whole race experience. You've been looking at your first race on a Sunday. There is a lot to do on a Friday and a Saturday. Be there, attend it. There's a lot of good energy. There's a lot of learnings you get. So make sure you attend and not to, miss on the route or anything else. All right, great. I think we've got another 15 minutes. Rather than picking up, I would like you guys to add on anything specific you think what worked for you, which you've been either practicing for a while and you felt that you did it and you nailed it, which was great, or you tried something new and you said, wow, I was happy it worked. Anybody has any pointers?
So, Coach, just want to add
Yeah.
to what you were saying in terms of preparing for a race, and not just like a night before, but like maybe 3-4 days or even a week in advance. So this is something that I did for the triathlon, and I'm also now doing for the upcoming half marathon on Sunday.
Yeah.
I had a detail now for those. This is obviously applies to those who are in touch with a nutritionist, or even for those who take care of their nutrition themselves, who are monitoring closely. Is that I was working very closely with him in terms of how to change my nutrition plan just for a week in advance for the prepping up for the race, and having certain protein at certain times, etc., in terms of carbs, blah blah blah, whatever. And even today, when I had the call with him, I did tell him that I'm doing the half marathon on Sunday, and he asked me if you'll be pacing, or if you'll be doing intervals, or how are you planning to go about the marathon. So I did share what you had put on TP, that we'll be doing 15 minutes of hard work and then 5 minutes of easy and stuff like that. So again, for him, it's now easier for him to tell me, or not tell me, rather just guide in terms of what all I should be eating 3-4 days in advance, and if it has to be protein, if it has to be creatine, if it has to be something else, or whatever it is. So the idea is that, I mean, it helped me because the 1 week before HR26, I was off my usual nutrition plan on something different just for this event. And again, now for the half marathon on Sundays.